Hi everyone. So I had a suggestion from a young lady called Sarah who liked my page, and she felt it might be helpful to do a video about how I connect with my crystals, because some of you might be interested in that. It might be something you want to think about trying, and I think Sarah's interested as well. So here it is. Obviously, I'm not a professional at making these videos. It's just me talking to you, and hopefully it's helpful. If you want to like, comment or share, then please do. If you have any other suggestions for videos that you think might be helpful, then I will obviously have a look at that and see what I can do. YouTube is a mind of information. There are loads of videos on there from other people, and some of those might resonate more with you than what I say. But I don't want to overcomplicate these videos. This is what I do. It's my way. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but it's just this is how I do it anyway. So some of you might have crystals yourself. You might have lots of crystals or just one crystal. You might have the chip bracelets that some people have. You might have pendulums. So any of those you could use to sit with and communicate with. Build up a connection, see what they've got to say. It's personal choice, whatever it is you're drawn to, whether it's a crystal, any of the other things I mentioned. What I would suggest, the main thing is that you find somewhere a room that you're not going to be disturbed if there are other people in your home. If it's a really nice day, then you might feel that you like to go and sit outside, again, where you're not going to be disturbed. It's your choice where you're going to feel most comfortable and most relaxed and be able to switch off. So obviously turn your phone off, leave it in another room, just so you're not going to be tempted to have a look at it and turn it on. I would suggest just being comfortable, either sitting on the floor, sitting on your bed, on a chair, just somewhere that you're going to feel relaxed and not worry about moving about too much. I'd also suggest having a piece of paper or a notepad and pen. It's just to write down whatever it is you might experience when you're trying to communicate with your crystal, just so you can look back. And if you have one particular crystal that you communicate with a lot after this, then you can just see what that has to say. And if they're quite repetitive in what they say. I use a pendulum, and it is quite repetitive in what it has to say because I don't listen the first time, to be fair. So it's you might find that because crystals, I've said before, they do have a sense of humour. They can be quite firm, they can be funny, but you've asked them to communicate with you, so that's what they're going to do, really, in their own unique way. So yeah, so you're all settled. You might want to have incense burning, you might have some music playing, whatever you want. Whatever you're choosing to try and communicate with, so just using this crystal, it might be a crystal that you've just bought. It might be a crystal that is your go-to crystal that you have on you for whatever reason. You carry it around with you during your working day. But even so, I would just sit down and connect with it, and you can talk to it out loud if you want, or in your head, and just let it know that you're open to it communicating with you, and you're interested to know what it might want to tell you. And just have a real look at it, just hold it up to the light, just see all the bits that you might not notice, because there's loads of crystals, there's loads of different sized crystals, and sometimes we just forget to really look at them. This is part of you connecting with it. So have a really good look. Might want to hold it in your hand and close your eyes and just feel all the different edges to your crystal. Just feel everything about it. Then you might feel that the energy changes between yourself and your crystal. You might feel that you're sort of, your energies have merged. So that's a good thing, because that crystal is, it's now sort of open to communicating. You've blended with that crystal. This sounds a bit mad, but you'll understand, you know, when you try it. Trust me. If it takes a little while to get that feeling, then really don't worry about it. Another important part of communicating with crystals is patience, with a capital P, because they have to learn how to communicate with us. We all communicate differently with people in our lives, and crystals communicate differently as well. And it's also about how you receive the information that it gives you. When I talk to my crystals, it's about, I start having a conversation like I'm having now. That's how I get the information. But I can also get a feeling at the same time, an emotion, and I might get a picture in my head. But each of you might get different things. So don't be disappointed if you don't have a full-on 10-minute conversation with your crystal, because sometimes that might not happen. It's about getting used to it and practicing, and finding that the more you do it, the stronger that communication will be. So patience is a big thing. So sit down with your crystal. You can, you know, hold it in your hand and have your notepad and paper by the side of you, or just sit with it and just close your eyes and just let it naturally tell you what it needs to tell you, whatever that might be, and however that might be. If after, you know, a couple of minutes you're not getting anything, don't give up. Just sit and give it time, and hopefully you will get, even if it's just a word or a feeling, then that's something. Don't dismiss it. Go with your gut instinct, and write it down before you forget, because it might start coming out with other things that it wants to say to you. You might feel that after a certain length of time that the energy changes, and you might feel that actually you communicating with the crystal, you're sitting there with it, that's just come to a natural end. It hasn't got anything more to say to you. If some of you do have pendulums and you use them, then you'll understand about how you can ask your pendulum questions, which are yes or no questions. And if you weren't sure if your crystal still had something to say to you, then you could just hold it over your crystal and ask it if it has anything else to say. And this is saying no, it hasn't got anything else to say. But if it was showing yes, then it would do that. So that's a way of you knowing, has your crystal said what it's got to say? Also, it might be your crystal is struggling to say what it wants to say to you, because that's just how it is sometimes. So again, if you feel you're not quite getting what it wants to say to you, or it's struggling to say to you what it needs to, again, use your pendulum and ask it if it wants you to try again later. And if it says yes, then you can put the crystal to one side and maybe try with another one, or a bracelet, whatever. So that is how it works sometimes. When I do my crystal readings, there are some crystals that I can go backwards and forwards to several times. You know, it happens eventually, but again, patience is the big word. So hopefully, you know, if you spend some time, don't expect it all to come at once, but I would give it a go. If you're interested in seeing what your crystals have to say, they're not just there to be used for treatments and for healing. I mean, they're fabulous. They all do their own things in their own ways and can be hugely beneficial in many ways. And I only learned a couple of years ago that they can communicate with us, and it was, you know, it's quite impressive when I realised that. And I have my go-to pendulum, which is my aventurine. That's always sort of tells me straight, really, if I need a bit of a kick up the backside or just need a bit of guidance. And again, that can be very short. It can be 3 or 4 words. It can be a few sentences, and it is just about getting that guidance that sometimes we need. So have a go, have a go at sitting with your crystals when you finish the conversation with them, and just always thank them and say thank you, and keep going back to them, keep giving them a try. They're nice to sit and look pretty, but they do, as I say, they sometimes do want to have a bit of a chat. They get a bit lonely, I think. So I hope the video has been helpful, and thank you to Sarah for suggesting it. And as I say, if you want to make any comments or like or share, then please do.